Welcome back to Let's Laugh About It, the not-so-serious business podcast powered by DTCX. I'm Zoe Kahn, and I'm here to celebrate our wins, vent about our challenges, and bring the DTC and e-commerce community together. Welcome back to Let's Laugh About It, the not-so-serious business podcast. I'm your host, Zoe Kahn, and today I am joined by Seb Williams. Sebastian?
Yeah, Seb's all good.
Welcome, Seb. So Seb is the founder of Ads by Seb, not to be confused with Abs by Seb, which I've made that joke probably 10 times a day and he's sick of it. He provides fractional growth marketing services to a small portfolio of D2C brands doing 1 to 10 million in annual revenue. Seb started running Facebook ads in 2021 with a sports memorabilia company called Pristine Auction before moving into the agency space, eventually going on to lead media buying departments while working with larger brands like Thrive Cosmetics and Dr. Squatch. In 2025, he went solo to work with brands directly and was able to double the revenue for 2 different 7-figure brands within 3 months of working with them. Very impressive. Welcome, you. Seb. Thanks for coming on the pod.
Appreciate you having me.
If you could tell the audience a little bit more about kind of how you got to where you are, what made you make those big jumps from brand to agency to doing your own thing?
Yeah. So for me, I started media buying at one of the worst times during the launch of iOS 14.5. So that was May of 2021. I was hired in April of 2021. And basically, as I got into the space, our ad performance just started to tank at that Pristine Auction company. And
did you have experience before that, or was this your first? Okay.
Very, very loose experience, like
okay.
posting social media and things like that, because I had originally worked in sports management.
Cool.
And coming back from an internship that I was going through, I decided that I wanted to not work in sports management anymore. It just didn't. It didn't pay as well as I was hoping for the 12-hour days, getting up, cleaning up the ballpark, all that, and then also just kind of ruins the love of the game, right? So for me, I love sports. It's been my passion my whole life, and realizing that doing that as my day job kind of ruined and sucked the life out of what I loved.
Do you think that, this is random, but do you think that you could do what you're doing today and then do it for sports and still enjoy both?
Yeah. That's such a good question. I think, what is it? It's called, I think the brand's called Baseball Lifestyle. And like Bill Rahm and all them, like he scaled that brand. And so, yeah, there's, apparel and other things within sports that I could definitely still do.
Yeah.
It's something I've thought about, I think that right now I'm in a spot where I've really enjoyed giving myself the freedom to pursue what I'm excited about. And that's something that's on my mind, is like a brand that really marries what I love with what I'm doing.
Yeah, very cool. I've seen the same thing in my career where I don't want to ruin my passions by making them work.
Yeah.
But then there are like ways I've seen that you can marry them both. Yeah. And so it's really cool. And I like to ask people about it because it's hard to figure out or like make that leap of you have a client that something you're super passionate about, but you're like, I don't want it to ruin it for me.
Yeah, well, I think that's like, with agencies, which has been the bulk of my experience, you end up working on so many different brands, and when you can get those few brands that you're really excited to work on and get results for, I mean, you can see the difference in your own work quality and just what's being produced and also the results in the back end. And so for me, that's really something that I've tried to emphasize, is just working with things I'm excited about or on things I'm excited about.
Yeah, well, cool. I have picked Seb's brain about agency a lot, especially as I founded my agency without agency experience. I've just had experience in my craft. So I've definitely respect the agency grind and have asked Seb lots of questions, and Seb has followed up by, I don't know about an age. I don't know about doing what you're doing.
Yeah. That's the fun of being in the agency scene and being around a lot of really. The fun about agencies is you get to be around so many talented people that I'm like, I talk to these people and I'm like, I'm not nearly as smart as you.
No.
And you're struggling right now with this, and so I have no interest in doing that.
What we'll have to, we've talked about it with the girls in the office, but one day we'll do a podcast about the agency struggles, because it is like all we want to do is good work, just like for any brand, right? So it's like, in theory, in your head, it's like, it's no difference than doing good work for one brand. You just are doing good work for lots of brands, and you have a team. But then there's like the people management, and then the like all of the like nitty gritty stuff that's outside of just doing good work.
Right.
So it is, one day we'll come back and do a podcast all about that. But oh man, like agency life is interesting. So you went from after agency life, and is that what you were kind of saying, is like you decided to take the leap to go on your own? And
yeah, it's interesting because I had planned to go on my own. Basically, I was running the media buying department for an agency called Rickhouse Media, and I was really well integrated there. I was really happy and trying to grow my own thing on the side. And then the agency got handed over, and when the agency got handed over to someone else, I got let go. And
handed over, like they got bought, or
it was like dual partnership, and then bought out on equity.
Okay.
And so then when that happened, I was let go. I'd built my entire media buying department offshore, and because I was just the only onshore person, it was just more expensive. I ended up getting let go as a cost cutting measure, and it was really hard. And I decided, like, okay, well, I've saved so much, and I have 6 months of runway. I'm just going to try to make it on my own. And I started to do a lot of cold email and things like that, trying to figure it out. And I struck out. Like, it didn't go well. And so I ended up actually like hanging my head and like, all right, I'll go take another agency job that I got through a network referral. And then while I was at the agency job, I ended up making some contacts who were nice enough to kick me over some business that they thought maybe weren't a good fit for their agency and maybe not like a scalable brand or anything. And so February of this year, I landed 2 of my own clients and was able to hit incredible results with them, and ended up going on, just doing that on my own.
That's awesome. Congrats. And now you're on a media tour.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. It's just coincidental. Was the founders meetup presentation, the other podcast with Kobe, and then now this, and I have nothing to sell.
Well, I wanted to ask you, because we went to an event together, Commerce Roundtable, in September of 2025, and it was right before you were going to do the live audit.
Yeah.
And with a really cool brand, Chris Sling.
Yep.
Tell us about that and how that was, because I was just really excited for you and so happy to hear.
Yeah. No, it was exciting and scary, right? So being a part of that Foxwell Founders membership has been incredible for me, like to just level up around a lot of other like incredible agency owners, media buyers, e-commerce founders. And
Wait, can you tell people what this Foxwell group is?
Yeah.
Go ahead and sell it.
I was gonna say Andrew's gonna love
to sell.
this. Yeah, I'm like preaching the gospel of it to people, and Andrew's gonna love this. But so Foxwell Founders is just basically a group of e-commerce brand owners and agency founders who just like some of the top people in the game get together. They're all in a Slack group. We do quarterly meetups just about
in real life.
Yeah, in real life, and then we meet up and we just basically bounce ideas off each other and just have it as a networking opportunity. We'll set up small events within the event, right? So things like my audit, where we go and I went and audited Chris's brand for him and shared all my learnings and feedback with the entire group. And so we all got to see basically how somebody who's doing high-level Facebook buying would go ahead and dissect this account and make it more scalable. And we had another agency do the same thing, so we actually had 2 agencies auditing it, and just like some amazing insights. And it's all this group of e-commerce founders basically helping each other up level.
Cool. Do you have to pay to get in?
Yeah.
Or do you have to get invited? Is it exclusive?
No, you apply to it. I'm paying a monthly membership fee for that.
Nice. And worth it.
100%. It was like the best thing that I've done since going solo.
Check it out. I might check this out, but
Yeah, 100%. I think I was talking to Rachel about that, your employee, my girlfriend, and that's what I was telling her, is like, you should get in there for sure.
Yeah. I love stuff like that. I love to surround myself with people who are smarter than me and more successful. Like, I think it's the way, like, it opens up your mind gets you out of your own little box. Yeah. And It really is that cheesy thing that you hear people say about like who your circle is, like defines who you are. And it is so true.
Oh, 100%.
So true.
That's been everything for me is literally, all the cold email work I put in and everything. It didn't mean anything. I put thousands of dollars and hours into just trying to make it work on my own, and it just did not. And, it was all the connections and the people.
Yeah. So is that before you decided to go to another agency and that's what you were doing, cold emails and everything?
Yep. Yeah. That was the middle of last year. And I spent all of that time basically cold emailing and trying to find my own work.
Yeah. It's so interesting because we all get a bunch of cold emails and it must work for some people, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
But I'm like, I don't want to do it and I don't want to really like respond to those things either. So I love the networking events and just like, you learn who you can like trust and who knows what they're talking about and like who are good people who aren't just in it for the money.
Yeah.
So that's great. So cool. So you're in media buying, and one of the coolest things that I've talked to Seb about is full picture like business. Like Seb his forte is media buying, but he's one of like the few media buyers that I've talked to that also looks at the full picture. And I do think that we're seeing this shift in the growth side of business and media buying and everything, because it isn't as easy to to spend money on Facebook and get your money multiplied. And it used to be it didn't matter really what the creative looked like. It was going to be served to people and people are going to purchase from it. And now it's all of the little things are important. And I think what we're seeing is like there's some media buyers who are kind of one track minded and they're getting lost and like left behind if they stay there. But then the media buyers that are successful are looking at the full picture. So I would love to hear your thoughts on this whole thing, and maybe even talking about do you think that going into media buying with all the iOS updates, did that shape it, or were you always thinking full picture?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And for me, is this 2023, 2024, as I took over the media buying department at Rickhouse, and I was basically training up new people to work in the new media buying roles. And for like team building, I didn't want to have anything structured. I wanted to meet up on a Friday. I wanted to talk about what you're seeing in your accounts. I want to talk about what you're thinking, like what are our opportunities, and just have it be a very casual call. And that casual call, funny enough, is something we still do. We're actually, none of us, we're all at different spaces now. One's at Common Thread, another one is at Lucid, and then I myself am on my own, and we still meet up every Friday and talk about media buying. And one of the big things that we would have on those calls, I would always be talking about how the reality of our space is that media buying is being automated away.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, Meta wants to spend as efficiently as possible for their customers, and so it will figure out algorithmically how to stop media buyers from being so handsy and being in the way and making all these changes and mistakes, honestly, in these accounts. And so the reality was that over the long term, and I knew this in 23, 24, and I'm sure a lot of people did, was that we were going to be automated away, and we see more of that year over year. There's less and less levers within the platform to pull. And a lot of the time, you're just not going to be able to beat the algorithm, and you'll be too handsy, and you'll make mistakes that lose the business money. And you are much better off figuring out how to move business metrics and how to focus on the back end and your offers and your landing pages, working on your creative and your actual messaging within that, the demographics, all of those things, rather than trying to set up a lookalike or an interest audience and being really handsy with your funnel and all these things. And, sometimes there's incremental value in it, and that's more with the smaller brands that I've seen. But for the most part, getting out of the platform, which I've done a lot of since I got out of the agency scene, has really been the biggest benefit. That's like how I've got the results in the brand that I'm working with right now.
Yeah, and I want to hear more about that too, in how was getting out of the platform very intentional, or was it more in a curious way of like, where did you start? Like, when you're first saying like, okay,
Yeah.
it's not just heads down in Meta or in media buying. Like, what did you look at first?
Yeah, I'm basically, I view it as like I'm a problem solver, and so I kept following the thread. So my ads aren't converting in platform, and we've tested so many different creative variants, and we've tested so many different targeting setups, and what's beyond this. So okay, it's the landing page. What's on the landing page? Okay, cool. There's not a high enough average order value, for example, like for us to be profitable on what we're running through Meta, right? And now we have to create a new offer. We need to set up a new landing page, and we need to try to improve that conversion rate and improve that average order value to make more on the front end. Or we put a lot on the front end, and we're not getting these customers to come back, and we have terrible retention. And
you're looking at retention, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Most media buyers do not at all ever.
That's been the craziest thing is again, going out of the agency space is like how much are these people actually coming back. And I think at Commerce Roundtable, Jordan Menard had a really, really good presentation about this, where he was talking about what he did with Rise Superfoods and basically how low of a ROAS he would scale the account at, because they knew within 60 to 90 days they make it back because their retention was so good. And that kind of things like that over the last year have really opened my mind more and more to the importance of all these different levers outside the platform. And that's been honestly the keys of driving a lot of my success with these brands right now. Yeah, no, that's awesome. So really this like full customer journey is what you're moving towards too. And so there's the full customer journey is kind of what you're talking about now too, is like what happens after they click the ad. And then do you ever think about, do you go as far as what happens when they like receive the product, or is that kind of like where do you draw the line of like, okay, then someone else can deal with that? So I when it comes to receiving the product, that's something that, like when I start working with a client, they'll send me the product. I'll actually get to have that experience, and I'll talk to them about it. One of my clients, they sell olive oil, and they sent it to me, and their story, their product, everything about them is so great, but the packaging. And it's funny because we live here in Arizona. I basically said it looks like it came across the border. Like it was just like taped around the entire box like several times. Like it looks like it was just shoved in there. It's bubble wrap. It was a mess. And that's something that now we're focusing on cleaning up, right? Because that matters a lot for people's first experience with the brand.
All of those things matter. And it is such an interesting thing too, because I think what gets forgotten is that you're selling, right? So you're selling something very like premium, and hope like that's probably what most brands, you want to like. It actually reminds me of, how have you seen like when they do fast food commercials and they're like plumping up the burgers and making sure that you have like the best like tomato and lettuce, and there's no, and everything, they'll even put like little like fillers to make it look a little bit bigger. And then so that's what I feel like what we do with ads is like we make sure that we have like we represent ourselves the best. So even if like your product is exactly that when it leaves your warehouse, but then you're delivering it in a broken box, that's their first, they're like, oh wow, I spent X amount of money on this and they couldn't even send it to me in a box. Like,
oh yeah. I mean, it's olive oil, and our AOV is like 110. Like that's if I'm paying that much for olive oil and then it comes in a box like that, it's like, okay, well we gotta fix this. And now that's something we invested in. It looks much better now, and over time we're gonna see that retention start to play out more.
Yeah. And I think it's one of those kind of fun but frustrating things that like quote like don't scale. You can't really like, it's very, very hard to measure.
Right.
And it takes so long to measure retention. So that's like my biggest like vice in retention marketing is that I love to make changes, and I know that these things matter, but then I'll forget about them because it's like I have been better at like putting things in the calendar of like, this is the day we changed the packaging and like, let's compare this time frame to that time frame. But you really do need lots and lots of orders to even test it and you want to change different variables. So that's really cool that like you're looking outside of just the ad and plumping up the ad to sell, because the rest matters too.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about this later, but one of my clients this year, I came in and I took their Meta ad account heading into peak season. Their highest they've ever spent on Meta was $30K. And we took that during peak season from $30K up to $200K a month.
Wow, yeah.
And their profit and their revenue exploded. They did amazing, but the supply chain fell apart.
Yeah.
It completely exploded. And for me, just being a media buyer, like, when you're in an agency, it's like, all right, wipe my hands clean. Like, you just kind of sit back. You're like, all right, like, you guys figure it out. And now I'm so close to it. It's like, okay, let's figure this out together. Let's figure out what to put in our ads. What we need to take out, like, next day shipping, stuff like that, and try to pull apart the weeds and be more on top of how much we're actually scaling, and not just scaling to the moon when, maybe our supply chain can't handle it.
Yeah. And then it allows you to be more profitable too.
Yeah.
Like, the more demand that you have creates more profitability. So
Right.
you don't need to offer free shipping if you're going to sell out already. And I really admire the brands that, and it's a very, very hard thing to do, because forecasting isn't easy. And like, you get sometimes you get a little ahead of yourself and you have too much, and then you need to pull all those levers. But the best brands I've seen do take it slow, and they don't always have sales. They might sell out, and they have that demand, and figuring out that demand after like selling out, you like, quote, miss out on sales because you don't have inventory, but you don't need to mark off your inventory half off for Black Friday or whatever, for any sale. That's
specifically working with the brands I'm working with now, being between 1 to 10 million. It's such an interesting problem, because with brands in that scope, it's usually like 1 or 2 big unlocks that really. So when it comes down to forecasting, it's so hard to forecast, because it's like, here's our baseline and here's what we're doing year over year. Maybe we're beating our, like, last year by 40%, but we might be one big unlock from doing 100%. And our supply chain isn't ready for that. And there's so much within that.
Yeah. And it's hard as a business owner to be patient and be like, it's okay if it's, or maybe it's not okay, because you also need to like make sure you don't get left behind by competitors who are like watching everything you're doing. So it's really cool. But before I forget, I actually have, while you were talking, I thought about a kind of a laughable moment in just the AI and ad space. But before I bring that up, you came prepared with a laughable moment. And I'm excited to judge this, because Rachel told me her opinion on this laughable moment.
Ooh, I shifted gears.
You shifted?
Yeah, she's gonna. Yeah, she says one she doesn't even know.
Okay.
I shifted gears last second.
Okay. Let's hear this laughable moment.
Okay, so last year, as I was doing the cold emailing stuff, basically, and trying to figure out how to make it on my own, it had been 3-4 months, and I realized that maybe this wasn't gonna work, and I started to have to apply to positions. And anybody who's been in the job market in the last year knows it's a disaster. Yeah. And so I was just kind of applying to whatever I could, and I saw this open position with a company that I really like. Actually, I can probably just say the name, but Shady Rays.
Oh, yeah.
And it was for a media buyer with them, and I was like, oh, that'd be amazing. I'd love to work with Shady Rays.
Yeah.
And I basically get on the call, and it's the senior person who basically was like, hey, so we went over your assignment that you did for us and your resume.
You had to do like a case study.
Yeah, I did a case study, and they were like, are you sure you want this role? And I was like, well, yeah, why? And she goes, well, it's like junior. It's like a junior role. And like, I'm coming off the heels of like running a media buying department. And it was just like this moment where we're just like sitting there, like looking at each other. And I was like, oh, I didn't know this is whatever. I didn't know this was a junior role. And she was so sweet about it. And like, we just like didn't waste each other's time, like going through it. But it was really funny, just like getting on the call and being like, oh, like we're like 2 people at the same level too. Like, so we're just like talking and being like, oh, wait, this isn't, going to work.
That is funny. And it is a hard place to be in the job market right now, because you could have been like, yeah, I know I'm overqualified, I just need something. But but that's like, also you want to like continue to grow. And she's like, like very, very transparently telling you like you're overqualified for this.
Yeah. And I had I wouldn't have applied the role if I had known that. And
was the salary and the like, so do you think that it was like not clear, or you were just like steamrolling, like here's an application here? Because
no, I don't think the salary was on there. And so I just saw Media Buyer with them. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, why not? Cool. Why not kick the tires? Let's just see.
Yeah, no, that's funny. And I actually struggle with this with hiring too at the agency, because sometimes we get applications for entry level positions that are the same, and I'm like, I don't know how to. I'm like, I know that the job market's hard right now, but I always am like, well, why is this person applying for this? Man, like maybe because also there are people who. Like, I don't know. I will think about this sometimes of, I'm running an agency right now and it's really stressful sometimes. And I'm like, it would be nice to go back to Culver's.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like the simplicity of just working in the kitchen, buttering the buns and joking around, learning how to use the air fryer. And like, if I was to apply to Culver's right now and they saw my experience, like this girl owned an agency and I'm like, please just let me cook the burgers, please.
I think about that with my first job was a nursing home. I worked in a nursing home, and I was thinking about, actually on the drive over, at the nursing home, they used to call me Smiling Seb because I was always so happy. Like I was just like happy to be there. I didn't really care. And it was just like so simple, like it didn't really matter what else was going on.
Yeah. And sometimes I like want to give everyone a chance. And then sometimes you're like, well, but are they stooping down because they like are not great at those high level? Like what is the reason? And same thing with we have a client who Rachel works on, and they got like a spike of tickets, and Rachel was telling me like, oh, there's a big spike. We really pride ourselves in trying to keep a 24-hour response time. And so Rachel was like, oh, let me get in the tickets with you, which is something that I love to do, but it's just not something I have time for. Yeah. And Rachel was like hyping me up with my responses, and I'm answering customer support tickets. Yeah. And I'm like, oh yeah, like it's so simple, but it's so fun. And like, you're just like, you make someone's day by like telling them like the happy birthday to their daughter or something. And,
it must be so cool to get back in the weeds though, right?
Yeah, and it's so nice. And it's good to be like reminded of those things. But sometimes, you're like, maybe she's asking you, are you sure you want this role? Because maybe you did want that role, and you did want to like just get back in the weeds and do a good job at that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, some people just don't want that growth and that responsibility that comes with like leading a team. You come off the heels of leading your team, like, you know what, I'm gonna take a step back, I'm just gonna go do media buying, and completely understandable. And so it definitely is like a very real thing for some people.
I must ask you, did you see, and you probably know this better than me because it's popped up on my social media between like LinkedIn and Twitter, but I can't remember which brand it was, but they took the like Meta AI, took their ad and turned it into that grant.
Yeah, True Classic.
True Classic.
True Classic had Meta AI, turned on one of their ads, and it just took one of the top performers and turned it into a grandma wearing the sweater.
Wait, okay. Can you explain this whole thing? Because so True Classic is a brand that is targeting like men who comfy tees for men. Yep. And Meta, I actually don't even understand. Like, so is this a feature in?
Yeah. So this, I think it all stems back from there was a Mark Zuckerberg interview last year where he basically said that his goal and Meta's goal is that a customer who has a e-commerce business or any business will go in and put in their credit card information and give them the website, and it will create the ads, decide who's targeting, all of that. that is the end stage goal for them. And so they've introduced all of these different AI features, a ton of Advantage Plus features is what they're called. And anybody who is working in a Meta account right now during Q4 2025, my heart goes out to you because it is such a pain. And it's, so the True Class example is honestly a culmination of that. So there's all these different, Meta's trying to just take whatever you upload and then automatically generate images. And if you have it selected to test it out, you can't see what it's testing. You can't verify anything. The only way you know is that either somebody on your team or one of your customers sends it to you, and you're like, oh, that shouldn't be running. And you have to turn it off on all your ads. You'll make a new ad and it will automatically select it back on, and so you have to turn it off every single time. So if you're doing high volume testing like your True Classic, they do an incredible job over there, and they are constantly churning out ads. It's just inevitable that you're going to make a mistake.
Inevitable. I see what you did there. Didn't he? I think he shared how much they spent before they saw it, right? Or
I didn't see that.
Okay,
no.
well, I'll have to follow up with someone from their team. But I'll put a picture of the ad, and it's a grandma wearing a very comfy. I mean, she looks fly. Yeah. But it is not what they were selling at all.
Absolutely not.
Crazy. Yeah, so I wonder what if this is, I wonder what the worst example is, because
I've seen some bad ones. It's getting better over time, I'll say, but I've seen some really bad ones that are just really unhinged. I was working with a client that was basically a money saving client, similar to a Rocket Money, but not exactly. And basically it made these AI generated images of a piggy bank and just smashing a piggy bank, and it just said save money, and that was the static ad was with literally just that, and it had nothing to do with you wouldn't know what company this is, and you wouldn't click on the ad. It just made no sense, and it's just a lot of that right now, or at least what it's been for the past year.
Are there ways that you can train it? Or is it just taking what
you can click and it will give you 16 ads, and then you can go through click on the ones that you want to basically have served, or you can have it auto generate and make them and serve them. But I would imagine that was one of the pre-selected ones that just didn't get selected or turned off. But yeah, that's kind of how it is.
Dang, that's crazy. It's very interesting. It's a whole nother world. And so all of these ads and everything, I mean, AI is trying to do the best that it can do, and it's learning. But one of the other things that we've talked about in a lot is organic content. Yeah. And I think I've talked about this on the pod before, way back, but when I was first getting into marketing, I was really confused how brands had these pictures floating around the internet that looked like they are on their. So I would actually get served an ad on Instagram, and then I would look at, and I'd be like, oh, that's cool. And then I would click on the brand, and then I wanted to go back and find that picture on their Instagram feed. Yeah. But it didn't work like that. I was always so confused how there was ads floating around. I always thought that it had to be on the feed because that's what makes sense to me.
Everything was a boosted post, basically.
Yeah, and it's a boosted post. And so, and I would actually get frustrated as a consumer because I'm I saw this ad, and so I should be able to find that product on their Instagram, or at the very least on their page. And that goes back to having a good landing page and all of that. But to me, I would always just think well, you'd want to post. If it's your brand, you'd want to post it on your Instagram, right? And then see if it does well. And if it does well, then boost it. Yeah. That's how my consumer brain worked. Yeah. And then when I learned that it is not that case, and that organic and paid was so separate. Yeah. And it still is a lot. I was just flabbergasted. Mm-hmm. And so this is something we've talked about before too, where it's a consumer mindset is so different than a paid media mindset.
Yeah, and that's started to, as you're alluding to, converge. Mm-hmm. And I know I was surprised to see Gary Vee on the panel for Commerce Roundtable.
Yeah.
But I think that he did such a good job of nailing this concept, because this is something that I had started to see, because my background coming from specifically a creative agency where I was a media buyer, you know, we focused so much on just making paid content, and we would have like templated content that like 3 reasons why XYZ, and you would fit the brand into that.
Yeah.
And now it's much more personalized, where consumers, like, they want your content to fit their feed.
Yeah.
Like, these social media algorithms getting so good that you have this like very tailored feed, and you really need to do your best job to fit into that feed to what they're already getting. And it hits them in a place that's like meaningful, in a way that's meaningful, and like, you know, that isn't jarring for them. And, you know, basically what Gary Vee said was that everything, it was an extreme take, but everything that you run on paid needs to be like verified through organic first, or you're wasting your money. I don't know that I would go that far, but I think that across the board, like, what I'm starting to see more of is when I'm desperate for creative. Basically, this happened in January of this year. I was working with a client and we didn't have any creative for them. And so I just started taking their top engagement social media posts and just like throwing them into our ad account. I ripped the post ID, throw it into the ad account. And what I noticed is it would have a really high cost per acquisition. Like, our target would say 150. That ad would have a $250 cost per acquisition, really off target, spending a ton. And it would look like the account's being mismanaged, but that was just on the ad level. And looking on the campaign level, like the full account level, all of our metrics got better. Because it was like a full funnel effect where it's reaching more people. And then they would go and convert on our bottom of funnel content, our bottom of funnel statics and offers and things like that. And so it really had this like full funnel effect that like Meta wants more of. And so I've talked a lot to different people about really leaning into that full funnel effect, and then making sure that you're making content that honestly people care about. Like, you really want to make content that people give a shit about at the end of the day. Like the just slapping in again like this tailored content that just like is a 3 reasons why, it can work. I'm not saying it won't work, but it doesn't scale the way it used to. And I think that you really need to have a strong sense of like who your customer is and how you're speaking to them if you want them to actually move down the funnel.
Yeah, no, that's so interesting. And it's a little, so have you seen it work well when like it is a good performing ad and it's a low CAC too?
Yeah,
or a good performing organic and low. So
yeah, those are your big winners. Those are like your outsized winners that, like, you know, that's for the olive oil client. That's exactly what we did. Was I came in and I focused on making really good organic content with them. Like, they were already really big organically. And so then I talked to them about what would be good organic content that could also convert. And so then we started focusing on making that. And then I think 2-3 weeks into that, we hit one that just went crazy. I took that and I added it to the ad account. And then overnight, we were able to double our ad spend while having a better cost per acquisition. And that immediately just doubled the business for them.
Wow. Well, also, so in your professional opinion, do you think, so is it worth it to keep all of those, you see a high cost per acquisition, CAC, but it's good performing content. Do you keep those on? And what's
this is we are stepping into hotly debated waters. So like in Foxwell, like there's many people that I respect that say the opposite or don't agree and things like that. I think yes, for the most part, right? If you're the main KPI that's the most important thing is how are you doing on an account level or how are you doing on a campaign level? If you're investing in that top of funnel and you're not seeing it back out at the bottom, like, absolutely pause it out, right? If you think that Meta is truly getting it that wrong, then pause that out, especially with smaller spender accounts. Smaller spender being less than 10K a month. But as you scale more and more, it gets better at understanding how to basically build that full funnel effect. And so that's where I'm like, I would definitely leave that on. And I have many, many examples, even just this year, where that was the case, where I would hand off an account as I left the agency. I handed off a few accounts and the new media buyer basically came in and was like,
all these things, high CAC. What was Seb doing?
Exactly. Like, basically like, like lazy media buyer idea. Like, I'm just like not looking and checking my accounts or anything like that. Paused out the high CAC ads and then immediately saw ROAS slash in half. Like, for the first couple of days, things got better because you're only running bottom of funnel.
And they're like,
And they're like, look at me, like you have no idea what you're doing. And then, a week later, all of a sudden our ROAS drops off a cliff.
Yeah.
And the client's cutting our budget in half. And so it really comes down to having that full funnel idea.
Yeah. Well, I also struggle with this on the retention side because everyone is so metric driven and like money driven of like, and like, I really don't like the metric that's like cost per send because, and it makes me a little frustrated because it's really hard to, talk qualitatively instead of quantitatively. And for me, like, let's take a welcome flow, for example, where you're, of course, most brands have a pop-up and it's like 10, 20% off. And that's the first email. And that's like performs well. But to me, a welcome flow should be a welcome flow. So it's like, yeah, sure. You give them a discount in the first one, like, email, but then I want the welcome flow to tell a story and build loyalty and like not necessarily like I don't really care if the second email that they receive drives revenue because the second email is talking about how the company like was founded and like it's building this loyalty and maybe it's like I like to bake things in like inviting to a community, whether it's a Facebook community, a Discord community, but then, someone might go into the account and they're like, why is this in there? This is not performing and the cost, it's bringing our metrics down. And I'm like, well, yeah, but that's not the biggest, that's not the main thing. Like we want retention and it's so hard to like explain short term.
Yeah. You need to be able to see the forest from the trees and that I think that's such a difficult thing for specifically when you talk about media buyers and that I was talking to a couple of my contacts about this week where I have a lot of creative strategists in my network that are incredible and I don't have a ton of media buyers that like I'm able to just like recommend. And when I go and ask more people for media buyer recommendations, it's just like very hard to find really good media buyers that think about all this stuff. It matters so much to be able to take that step back. And for me, like the not so tangible things are like when I'm opening a Facebook ad and I'm opening my top ads and I'm reading the comments and I'm implementing a post-purchase survey and I'm asking the email team, like, what are we getting? Like, what are our top complaints? All of these other things that matter. You have to be, I think this is another thing that like Gary says all the time is like, you have to be like disgustingly customer obsessed.
Yeah.
And that matters in every facet of your business. And I think that matters so much with your media buyer in terms of how you're investing your dollars.
Yeah. And it's, I think it's kind of hard because this is one of the things where with the agency and you're talking to different clients and you do want to, like, I really want to protect my team and as far as like, and myself of like, who are the types of clients that we're bringing in and hopefully being in a spot where we can work with customer obsessed clients because it's really hard to work with those who might just be either maybe they started customer obsessed and then the stress of business is very hard to like maintain that same level of customer obsession that you might have started with. And sometimes these things shift and that's what's really hard is when there's like they lose the customer obsession.
Well, it's interesting because this will go back into my other laughable moment that I didn't mention. So basically there's the math and the art to this, right? So you want to be customer obsessed, but you need to make sure that you're also running a business. Yeah. And so for that olive oil client, basically they came to me really, really excited because they had this idea to basically donate a certain dollar amount to charity based on the number of items that they sold. Right. So I basically, they pitched me the idea and I was like, okay, I love it. Have you run the math on it? And they're like, no, it's fine. Like we can, whatever. And so then we sat down on the call together, ran the math on it. And not only did it wipe out their entire profitability, all of their margin, they were like net negative, like quite a few hundred thousand, because they wiped out their entire margin with what they wanted to basically give back.
Yeah.
And it's like, it comes from such a well-intentioned place. They want to be, they're just incredible people, and I love them for that. But you need to be able to marry that art with the science, or with the math.
Yeah, and it's hard to find that balance too. And in a consumer's mind too, where consumers might be complaining about pricing, it's hard because these are the things that like are hard to scale with, if you're also trying to give like the best price for your consumer, because it doesn't leave as much like leeway with flexibility in your like bank account, because it's, these things are like, I get it, like we're sending an email, but it's not bringing in revenue, but like it's the big picture, it's building that loyalty and creating a long-term brand, or like we want to donate to charity because this is helping give back and it's our mission, but like,
you're a business,
actually,
and you have employees to pay. And
exactly.
We just had another one where they want to do an insert into each box, and it was like a really, really nice message, like handwritten note. It's like an olive tree that would open up as a card, and it would be like $2 to $3 per. And it racks up really, really fast.
So quick.
And so then it's like, again, how do you quantify that? How do you quantify if that is a worthwhile investment or not?
And you have to, like, I think that the only real like answer is, if you want to do those things, you have to put it at the cost of the product. And you have to charge more. And it's like leveling out what's worth it or not. And
if you're making the customer pay for the gift too, it's like, is that what your goal was? Exactly.
And I think I have seen like luxury brands have so much room for these things, like and it's so, there's so much more fun to like room for fun in those things, because you can send, they're like, insert, of course.
I mean, if you have 80-90% margins, of course.
Exactly. And so I think there was one time we were watching we were watching Harley from Shopify speak about one of these things where they were talking about what was the best customer experience that you've seen, and he used this example of, he walked into this brand, and I was like, I don't even know that brand. It's like so out of my like pay level. Like I don't even know. And when I could see everyone in the crowd like Googling it, and everyone's like, oh my God, this shirt's $600. And like, I don't know what it was. And he was talking about how like amazing this customer experience was. He walked into the store. They remembered his size from last time. They like custom fit, like, and I remember like looking around and like talking to the room. They were like, oh, it wasn't the best example for like, that was, he answered the question. But like when like most of the people in the room are like, they don't have that flexibility of like giving, nobody in the room could actually give that experience because the margins aren't that high.
Of course.
So it is like playing around with all of these things of, it being a business owner is not just sending someone a product like the consumers might think. So very crazy. No, I mean, at the end of the day, like it's like we keep saying, like you have to be customer centric. You have to run a business at the end of the day. I mean, now we're donating 10% of our profits to charity. Wow.
And one of the first comments that we got back was, what are you doing with the other 90%?
Oh my God.
and it was like, all right, well,
it is really hard. We have, Rachel and I are working through this kind of like charity, wanting to do good, but not wanting to come off that the business is just like trying to profit off of a cause. And it is like a sad thing that we even have to think about, because if you have good intentions and you have a good cause and you're doing all these things for that, but it's also a business, and so it's hard to figure that out. But at the end of the day, you're never gonna make everyone happy, and so if you're doing good things, just keep doing them. And
that's the hard part. You're right. You have to do the good thing, but you have to talk about the good thing too. So like marketing, that you're giving 10% back, and not saying that you have to do it, but for the most part, like it does matter, because if people are buying from your brand because they want you to support a cause and you are supporting that cause, like they want to know that you're doing that.
Yeah.
And so marketing that, you have to sit there and ask yourself, like, how do I do that without coming off in a bad way?
Right. Yeah. It's definitely a challenge. Seb, thanks for joining us on the pod. Can you tell the listeners where they can find you if they'd like to consume some of your content or...
Yeah. So I don't post a ton, but I am on LinkedIn, Sebastian Williams on LinkedIn. And then my X profile is Seb Does Ads.
Twitter, not his ex's profile.
Oh,
Rachel.
yeah. Good note.
My ex's profile.
Yeah, I realize I'm
her.
I'm one of the few people who calls it X now, just kind of running with it.
I'm so bad. I'm like Twitter X, but I'm still like fighting it. But well, for the listeners, make sure you check out Seb. Thanks so much for joining us on the pod, and
thank you for having me.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, tell your grandma. Send it around and tell her. And we'll catch you in the next one. You know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, and catch us in the next episode. And thank you for listening.